Hello, everybody. Welcome to this Avtex webinar series webinar. With content today, we're going to talk about exploring the potential of bots and AI in modern organizations. Going to just get things kicked off in a moment. Just going to give it one more minute as people come back to the webinar. We're excited to show you this today. It's going to be myself, Carl Phoenix, and Neil Iverson, and we're going to take you through the sort of work that we're doing here at Avtex in regards to bots and the bot framework. Okay, I think we're ready to get going. Neil, if you can get us started. Okay, so bots. What do we think of when we think of bots? Something like this, perhaps. Maybe not. Things have changed, but myself, having worked with bots for a while, I kind of went back and looked a little bit at the tradition of bots and where they came. What's this fellow? And who is Joseph Jacquard? I'm sure you all are very familiar. But Joseph, in 1804, invented what most people believe to be the first bot. It was actually a loom for weaving. And this loom took programmable cards that punched holes into, and he would feed these in, and it would automatically respond to these cards. Back then, there was an issue, and this is the same issue that we see today. How much work is it taking to get this bot to do the thing that I want it to do? Back then, in 1804, it took 24,000 cards in order to program certain weaves. And that same problem has existed ever since then when it's come to bots. You know, how much automation can we get, and how much work do we have to put into programming it so that it will be something that is as good or better than what we can do ourselves, right? Is it going to be faster? Is it going to be more efficient? There's always been that issue. And so the algorithms that would be labor intensive to create, all of the framework to get the bot set up, and then the end result are humans and the interactions and the problems that these bots are solving. Are they going to meet the requirements that we set ourselves today? That's been the traditional problem with bots. But today, it's 2017, and there's new possibilities with bots. Everybody has them in a way that they've never had them before. You know, if you think about the new age of cognitive and artificial intelligence, things that were out of grasp for so long are now completely possible with technology. These interactions with bots are happening on a daily basis. We're all talking to, okay, Google and Siri and Alexa, and the comfort level that we have in not only just interacting with them, but the information that they give us, we are far more comfortable and far more trusting than we ever were before. The work that's going into them is obviously still a lot, but the proof of all of that, the interactions that we have with these is now being embraced. And the questionable level of trust that we have with bots has definitely flipped to a new era. And that opens the doors to the new possibilities with bots. So what are we doing today? Today we're using them with our customers, because the same people who are clicking on their phone and asking a question or talking to Alexa are also your customers. And they're looking for information, and they're willing and they're more trusting than ever to go to an automated service to get that, because they have seen it in their day-to-day lives that they can see real tangible benefits in interacting with bots. So as an organization, what are we building today? And this is what's really cool about the bots. It's how they feed into so many different parts of the business. So there's 4 specific ways that we want to talk about today, and then Neil's going to show an example of some of these coming together. But let me break these down a little bit. The first one is help getting answers, right? An example of this would be someone looking for an FAQ or a problem with a product. They're looking for answers, and bots can be the connection between their query and the database of answers, right? So looking for keywords inside of a database, you know, hey, I'm getting this login error, right? It's something that you perhaps picked up the phone and called somebody about. The bots are at a level right now where they can go and they can provide that information. The next piece is far more about sales and the relevance of products. A bot can take so many different pieces of information that a human can't, and work out the best possible product for you. So whether that's saying at the end of a conversation, hey, have you tried this? I can see that you've already got this product. Maybe you'd be interested in this one over here. And it's not relying on a human interaction to remember that that customer signed up for that offer 2 years ago. It's about reading it from the back-end systems and providing that knowledge. It's about tracking the interactions that they have on a website. What URL did you come to me from? Oh, that's this type of product. Okay, so are you interested in that? I can show you more examples of it. It's about putting all of the pieces together to provide more relevant information about the product. The third piece is about gathering information. Traditionally, when we talk about gathering information on a website, it's a pretty tedious form process. Hey, go fill out this form or submit your application over here. And a customer is met with perhaps a long form or steps, and there's been pieces that have been done over the years to try and improve that experience. But really what bots are able to do is they're able to be far more intelligent and intuitive in the user experience for how we ask those questions. What's your name? Can I get your name from you? Okay, that's great. So what's your zip code? And I'll try and find your address in our system. It's more of a conversation that you're able to have. And based on the answers that are being put in by the customer, the bot is able to intelligently skip over things that are not relevant, rather than the customer having to look through forms and skip fields and work with that sort of interface. So gathering information is a huge area that bots can bring efficiency and better experience. The fourth area is just being the interface, right? If you think about two people, somebody trying to make an appointment and a customer trying to make that appointment, there's information, which is a calendar, which exists between the two. And the bot, through text messaging or online, is able to bridge the gap between those two people and providing time slots automatically and confirming with just yes or no answers. Are you going to be available? No. Let me try and find some other time slots for you. Quick query in the database, pull back slots that two resources are available. Just being that go-between between two people, the bot can connect the dots, and it's done in the time that works for one person. So you don't have to have both people on the phone or on an email thread at the same time. So bots are working really hard at providing more and more solutions. These are just four that come to mind as we think about what we're building today at Avtex for some of our customers. And what we're going to do now is move on from the slideware to show you some actual interactions and to talk a little bit about the efficiencies that bots have been able to make over the last couple of years, not only in the end result in terms of what you're able to consume as a customer, but also in the back end, what developers and organizations are able to leverage from the bot frameworks that have changed this from something that was pie in the sky and something that was very, very labor intensive in building into something that can be stood up relatively quickly and can be very useful and can add a lot of value to your organization. Okay, let me flip over to Neil. Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, so let's take the example of if we want to build a bot for our organization, let's take the example of gathering information. So if we were going to create a bot, traditionally there would be a lot of components that go into it. Now we might have to deal with our 24,000 punch cards, but there are still different components that make that bot work. First of all, you need some sort of interface. How do you talk to the bot? Traditionally this is a web page that you're going to where you're chatting with it. Now we have some additional methods out there for voice chats and things like that. But if we think about it, we need a user interface. And so our traditional component, we'd start with, all right, we need to make some place for the user to type in messages so they can interact with our bot. After they can type in messages, we now need to handle the sessions and the state that happens there. Bot conversations are classically something that doesn't necessarily happen back to back to back. There is a flow, there is a back and forth. There is a question and answer. So we now have to make sure we can understand who we're talking to and that this is flowing in order. Above that, we're trying to get somewhere. We have a dialogue with the person. So our bot needs to understand the dialogue, the interplay between the answer and what the follow-up question is and how that flow works. We also need a way to understand what's coming in. They relate to something else. And finally, after we've done all of that, we need to do the actual part of the bot. We need to have the actual useful stuff. So traditionally, if you wanted to create a bot, you were spending the majority of your time focused on things that weren't very useful, that were really blocking and tackling and getting your bot to handle and sound like a basic conversation and get those things implemented and then keep track of what was going on. In the modern environment, there are now modern components that help us out with this. First of all, we have the user interface. So at the top, we now no longer are just limited to, say, a web page. We certainly have web pages, and they're the most common way that people are interacting with our bots. But we also have things like Cortana. We have things like Alexa that you can talk to both from Amazon and Microsoft standpoint, but forth with a bot. You can use Skype, you can use Facebook. All of these are great interfaces that other organizations have built that you are able to take advantage of. In the middle now, we really have these mature bot frameworks that handle some of the heavy lifting that we've had to do before. So session and state management, dialogue flow, and most importantly, natural language processing and input processing, those tools give you the ability to really understand what's happening and what the keywords are that people are saying, the key phrases, and allow you to really focus on creating the useful part of your bot, the part where it's going and getting the information, the part where it's actually helping the people who are using it rather than just echoing back things that they've said. So what I want to do is I want to show you a little bit about how a bot can be used in this case. So here we've got our IKEA furniture site. And it looks like a pretty normal site. We've even got the nice chat over here on the side. So when engaging with the chatbot, there are a few things to understand. We don't have to just type text. We're not just limited to typing anymore. Almost all of these interfaces give us the way to help guide the person using this so that they don't have to type things in. So here you can see that we're presenting them with an option. How can I help you today? Do you have an existing case, a new case? Do you want to ask a question? So in this case, I've created I've called support already once, and I'm trying to keep track of an issue that I have where I ordered some chairs and I was missing one. So I'm going to say that I have an existing case, which is great. So once again, it says I'll help you with the case. Do you know your case number? So I do know the case number, and I can either click it or I can type yes. So I know my case number. It is FR1234. I'll ask for an update on that, and it says, great, I found your case. It went out to our CRM system, looked it up, and now it knows a couple other things about what I'm calling for. So it knows that that case was created around this specific missing one of the chairs, which is an accurate assessment of the situation I find myself in. From there, it says, what would you like to do? So I could provide an update to this case. If I received it or if I have new information, I can type it in here and it'll go into CRM. I can request an update. I can say, hey, what's going on with this? Somebody let me know where we're at. I can chat with an agent, or I can have an agent call me. In this case, what I want to do is really show off some of the ability of a bot to help be the front end for an agent communication. So in this case, I'm going to say that I want to chat with an agent. Now, what it's going to do behind the scenes is actually put me into a contact center. So now I have been put into a queue, and if I look, this is a real chat that's coming through. I'm going to go ahead and accept the chat on this side. Oops, looks like somebody else grabbed it. One sec. And I now have the chat. I'll answer it. Perfect. So I am now in the session. So there are a few things to note here. One, I'm now in the conversation on both sides. And I've passed in the information that the bot has gathered. So you can see from the case ID, it knows my customer name. We can see the case number that I typed in, the order ID, and what was referenced in here. I can now type ask for a tracking number, and we can see that we can go back and forth. So an interaction that started with a bot, the bot was able to gather the information. Now we're in a real call center environment going back and forth, and we can send everything across and have that single source of information. We know who the person is, we know what they're calling in reference to, and the agent is able to focus on what the core issue is and how they can help to resolve it. One of the other nice things about the modern chat frameworks is that we can meet the users wherever they are at. So here we see this is a web page. You know, that's certainly a common thing, not really a big surprise there. But we can be wherever the users are. So we can use something like Facebook Messenger. I can type in my message here and I can have it go to the exact same chat agent. It'll show up the same way for the chat agent. I can use something like Microsoft Teams. We can see in here, I can chat with an agent in here as well. And to the agent, it doesn't matter if they come in through Teams or if they come in through Facebook Messenger or if they come in through SMS, they're able to work with them, and the bot framework is abstracting that out. Now we can take these things a step further and really understand how natural language processing can help us find answers. So in Carl's example of a knowledge base, we can take what the person is looking for, search against a knowledge base, and either present it directly back to the user or present that as additional feedback, additional context for the agent. So when the agent takes the call, we can provide them with additional information based on what the user is looking for, and really help them either help themselves or give the agent as much information as possible to resolve those cases earlier. So these tools that we have now allow you to really focus on how these scenarios can benefit your organization and your environment. We've focused a little bit on externally facing bot scenarios, which is kind of the most common that you see, but also bots that relate information internally into an organization can be just as useful. For example, your internal staff can ask in natural language the bot to say, all right, what are the open invoices for this client? Or who can I call about this inside our organization? Who knows these skills? These are scenarios where, you know, you could try and find it or email out to a group, or a bot internal to your organization could help you find that. Once again, you don't have to focus on what the input type is, and you don't have to handle how all the state is managed and the low-level details. You get to focus on building the bot that does the useful part of your interaction and really helps to focus on how does the bot provide value and what scenarios can you do now that you couldn't before. Leveraging third parties like Alexa, adding a skill there, or Cortana, adding a skill there, really turn your mobile phone into a very easy way to interact and move with these bots and get access inside your organization's information while you move out there.
Great.
So we've shown.
Thanks, Neil.
Yeah.
I was going to just say, you know, what's the game changer here with a lot of these frameworks is the fact that you get so much value for money in your development of these bots. Like Neil was showing, there are so many other platforms where you can expose this same information once you do the work in the back end to create the interactions and the logic. Like you showed, it can be passed out amongst so many different platforms that encompass so many different demographics. Some of your customers use Facebook Messenger, others use Microsoft Teams, others use Skype, others use Cortana or Alexa, and you get such a wide coverage of platforms through one single development process. Neil, anything else you want to add, or should we go to questions?
Yeah, if there are any questions, go ahead and use the GoToWebinar question section, and we'll answer those right now.
Great, thanks, Neil. And if anybody does want to follow up to this, you know, and has maybe a deeper dive question or would like to see the inner workings of any of these pieces, we'd be happy to arrange those. So just reach out to us, and we'd be happy to do that. I don't see any questions coming through, so if nobody has anything, we'll draw this to a close. This will, of course, be available for you to share. It's going to be recorded and put on avtex.com/webinars. So feel free to go there afterwards if you'd like to share it with anybody else. Once again, thank you very much for joining us. It was a pleasure to be able to walk you through this today. Thanks.